I want to pick up something that Tim did talk about, this collaboration. And my studio is called TheSumOf. Intentionally, the sum of the aggregation of my background that Andy talked about, the sum of everywhere I worked, but also who I collaborate with. I'm an independent studio. I've put collaboration up as one of the important keystones of what I do. Although we talked about collaborating with other agencies, I actually talk about collaborating with my clients. That they are probably my biggest collaborators. And some of those are De Bono Global. Anyone know Edward De Bono? He's the guy who invented lateral thinking. I've been working with De Bono Global, which is his global management company, working with them for 2 years. The identity, we're working on website, and then also a system that works across the identity, the website, and 56 book covers. All has to work seamlessly. So we're working on that. I would have loved to share that with you today, but we're not at launch point yet, so I can't. Andy mentioned SBS. I did the identity refresh SBS 2008 in the back of a house in Kununurra, top end of Western Australia. Been working with Brisbane Festival for 4 years now. Did the identity, then every year I set the visual theme and style of all the other agencies, take that material and then reproduce it in various medium. Recently worked with an international contact center called MindPearl, who were invisible for 15 years, and then they got us in with some of my other collaborators, and we did the identity for them, 4 offices around the world, 1,000 staff. A new client I'm working with called Anu, which is in the Anu, my Irish accent, sorry. And they're in architecture and they're doing a modular building system. And then a lighting company called New, and I renamed Anu and New. So essentially, it's brand identity work. And a lot of what we've heard today is brand identity work. This is what I think brand is. It's who you are, and identity is what you look like. But actually, somebody else said that, Ian Anderson, who Michael used to work with. I hear this a lot, or I see this a lot. Designers and agencies saying, we build brands. And when I hear that, I go, really? Okay. This might be a bit harsh. And I might not have as many friends after this, but if they say we build brands, they don't know what they're talking about. Or if they do, this is even harsher, they're doing this. There's a third possibility, though, and that is they're in a rare position. Now, the reason why is that, and I will read this out, it's the longest piece of text. A brand is who you are. It's the core value of your business offer, and a promise to your customers of the value they should expect. It is the sum of all the experiences someone has with your business. It is what you live and deliver every day. It cannot be manufactured, created, or invented by an external consultant, because then you'll be required to live up to somebody else's vision rather than your own. Now, that's my interpretation of what a brand is. Branding, on the other hand, is how you articulate and appropriately communicate your brand to your customers and to the world. And that's when we're useful. The reason is that designers do this stuff and we leave the building. Building a brand is you're in it every day. You have to do everything. And designers who say that they're in a position to build brands, unless they're in that third position, that rare position of being a collaborator long-term over time, we cannot say that we build brands for our clients. We give them the tools to do it. We help build brands, but we don't do it. Because of this. Every day, day in, day out. That's how you build a brand. So when I was asked to do this talk, I said, well, should I talk about brand or brand identity? And I thought, well, it might be interesting to go down and talk about brand, because I cannot say, as I just meant, that I've built any of these brands. I could say that I'm in a better position here, because I've been working with De Bono Global for 2.5 years, and it's a privilege to work with all my clients, particularly De Bono Global, because I have multiple contact points with the CEO per week. We're not just talking about the identity, we're talking about program development, we're talking about product development, we're talking strategy, and that is probably because, on the one hand, the CEO really values design, and on the other hand, they've invited me to be on the global advisory board, so I'm in constant conversations with them. So although I'm not building it, I'm helping to steer how it can be built. It's the closest thing I could say about building a brand. But all the other ones are brand identity work. So I thought it might be more interesting to talk about building a brand. And I had no idea what that meant. When we think about design and creativity, I separate concept from idea. Concept, in my view, would be footwear, and an idea is sneakers, or shoes, or boots. So I separate those out. So when we're building a brand, you say, let's look at a concept. What area do we want to operate in? What idea do we want to do? And then you think about it for a while, and you go, okay, that's good. And then you think about it some more. And then you get excited, and you go, well, we're going to do this, that's great. And then you get terrified. And then you think about it, and you go, whoa, I'm getting excited again. This is good, this is great. And then you develop the idea, and you develop the identity and the product, and then you stop. Good, then you start. And then it goes on. And this is what it is about building a brand. It doesn't stop there. As a designer or a creative, you will probably stop after creating a product or an identity, and then the people who are building the brand continue it every day. My journey, and it's a personal journey, I'll warn you. It's sort of a barrel. I can be honest because I'm not hiding about any confidentiality of a client. The client was myself. And the journey began with a conversation on a roof here in Melbourne in 2007. Now, I wish I could say I had a photograph of that moment. Sorry. I was on a roof, and it was AG Ideas, actually. Sorry, sex, drugs, Helvetica. And I was with Paul Davis, who's the English illustrator, amazing guy. David Pigeon, local gentleman, fantastic designer. Andrew Barnum, educator, designer. David Lancashire, legend. And me. And also Andy Stevens, who's from Graphic Thought Facility, incredible designer. So we're on the roof, we're chatting, and I was actually chatting to Andrew as he came off the roof, and we were saying, we're all at this age of ideas, and we're all just geeks. We're just nerds. We're just, we love it. We're here. Sorry, you guys are all nerds because you're here, and we love design. And I thought, ooh, design nerd. That's a cool thing, design nerd. There's something in that. Maybe I should do something. Okay, all right, I know. I'm going to actually do an identity because I'm a designer. So I said, okay, design nerd. That's what I'm going to do. And it's for design enthusiasts because we're all geeks, right? I was like, good, I'll do that. I know what you're looking at. I know, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's like, there's a reason. There's two reasons. Number one, I wanted to highlight this. I wanted to really say that we're nerds. I really wanted to say that we love it. We really love it. We really are nerds. I love the juxtaposition of being design sophisticated and being a nerd is like not sophisticated, so I love that. But I also thought, we have to take the piss, and come on, only designers are going to see that, and only designers are going to worry about it. So I copped a lot of slack for that, and I was like, it's exactly why we did it. So you guys would go, but it's not right. And this is bringing some humor in and a little bit of self-deprecation, and it's intentional. Now, just because we talked about Edward de Bono earlier, I had a conversation with him a year and a half ago, and he gave me the best definition of design I've ever heard. Deliberate. One word, deliberate. Because everything we do is deliberate, a deliberate series of decisions to an outcome. And this was deliberate. So I had a logo. Woohoo! Okay, 3 years later, maybe I'll do something with that. Okay, sat on the shelf for 3 years. So a concept. Maybe I can gamify design education. The idea is design trivia. So, hey, there's no graphic design trivia, so maybe we should have a look at that. And then I went and I thought, I'm going to start small. I'm going to think, graphic design, product design, architecture, fashion, but Akira Isagawa, Bjarke Ingels, Philippe Stark, me. Get some big names in. So I thought a design trivia would be boring if it was just questions. Why don't we get some famous people in? And I was thinking maybe this will happen, maybe it won't, but this is my idea, it's where I started. And you might think, why am I got my name up there? Because I think I'm superstar like these guys? No, because if I have to ask somebody to do it on my behalf, I need to have done it as well, so I know what they're going through. So it's not a way of me putting myself in going, oh, I'm amazing just like these people. It's to go through the process and to really understand it. So this is just me thinking this is the packaging, could look like this. And then I went like, oh, okay, we might bring in this fun social educational side of it because that's what this is about. And then, we'll have graphic design volume 1 and product design and off you go. And then I thought we'll prototype it up and we'll get it printed in China. I'd never worked, on producing a product in China before. In fact, I'd never actually done a product like this before, so it was a real starting point for me, and I wanted to build a brand around this. It was an intentional one. When I started at Design Nerd, I thought we'll put a business around this. And then we got it printed up. So we got it done and shipped from China, and we had a look at it and thought, okay, that's kind of working. Doesn't really work, does it? You kind of think, GDV1? Ooh. So I knew I needed a product name, and I looked at it and thought, well, I'm going to be asking for 100 questions from people. I'd like to ask people 100 questions with bonus questions, so let's just call it 100 plus. All right, let's call it 100 plus. And also, I narrowed it down again to saying, well, let's just literally say what's on the tin. 100 plus graphic design questions from a person. So who could I ask? I thought I wanted to ask somebody other than just putting in graphic design questions, and I thought, who's in my network? And who do I know within my network that I can approach, but also who do I really admire and respect, and who do I think is interesting? So I went and asked Stephen Heller, who's written or edited about 140 books on design, and Stefan Sagmeister. And when I asked, and Lita Tallarico, who's also at School of Visual Arts, and when I asked them, they all said yes, straight off. Now for me, to ask these people to do this was an incredible endorsement of an idea that was just kicking around my head, but these people said, let's do this, this is good, this will be fun. And in fact, when I asked Stephen, he said, do you mind if I ask Lita as well, because I'd like to do a volume with her, and I thought, absolutely amazing, and please do, and she came on board too, and I thought, wow, this is incredible. And then we printed them up, and this is what the tins look like, limited edition printed tins, and the cards were pretty much, I didn't do a lot of development on the cards. I knew what I wanted to do, but we had categories, the whole Gamify, building a game, you had points, categories, bonus, hints, all that kind of stuff. And that's what they kind of look like at the end. So I thought, great, fantastic, we're out. From concept to launch, 1 year. That was it. It was idea, let's get it through. And when we're also talking about content creation, we're looking at editing, curation, working, collaborating with Stefan and Steve and Lita, so it was a collaborative process, but 1 year. And with big plans. I really wanted to push this. 3 days after launch, Fast Company featured it on their website, which is amazing. I thought, wow, what an amazing endorsement again. So all the signs were great. This is all heading in the right direction. So I was having a little chat with Stefan. We were hanging out one day, and he said, so tell me about your pricing. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. What's your unit cost? Now, I've taken this photograph because he's really looking at you, right? Okay, not sure about that. The cost of the tins at that point was $75 plus CSE plus shipping. $75, why? Because I thought, how much is a really good hardback design book in a bookshop? Around about $75. That's what people are going to pay. Let's do that. Now, shipping. Oh, we should add that on. Let's do that. No fucking idea. We got our unit cost. We put it down to what is the bare minimum we can do to produce the stuff in China, and the cards got produced, printed locally, wrapped, everything got put together, and then stored. So we went to $60, including including shipping, worldwide, because Stefan asked me a question: unit price. You should build an app. Got you there, Stefan. All good. That's already in planning. Going to do that. Spent the next few months promoting it and trying to get everything organized, and everything changed. I was like, okay, don't have as much time as I used to. And then this happened. And that happened. So, we think life gets in the way, but actually, no, life happens. And I took a choice and said, there's a lot of things going on, I need to just step back. And the tins sort of started to not get promoted and not sell, and the app wasn't happening. And I just said, okay, I got to just get back onto to life. So eventually I reassessed, and I needed to differentiate the printed product from an app product. And I thought, we'll do multiple choice because the printed ones don't have that. We'll bring in factual information on the question, so you've got a did you know fact as well, because this is an education initiative. We'll bring a timer in, a shuffle that you can go between volumes, and a platform that we can then keep our costs low, that we will be able to just populate volumes in this platform and also make it much more accessible for the end user. So, okay, what do I do? We were having a chat, Tim and I, at lunch, and we talked about wireframes, and that's where we started working on, was initially just wireframes. Let's just figure out how this works and functions, and there was a lot of wireframes, not very sexy, but that's how you figure out how it's going to work. And then we went to these kind of designs, which were really clunky, but that's where you start. And then it got worse. So you just start getting an idea of how this is actually going to work, what's the functionality. But what you can see here is I didn't really put a lot of emphasis on the design, the aesthetic. It was the design of how it works. So it was just a case of throwing things onto a page to see how it might look, but purposefully to see how it will work. Stop. And again, this happens. So you kind of look at it and say, we're putting a lot of effort into this. Really, why? What's the outcome of this? What do you want to do? So eventually, I rethought things and got back into making things a lot simpler and focusing on what I wanted to achieve. And it comes back to the education, the collaboration, the sharing of knowledge. And I started to simplify things down, but also add in perhaps some gamification levels, what other screens might look like, a finished screen, and then maybe you just do 20 questions or 50 or 100. We tried to do an ad that didn't really work. But then we went and we tested it, got some feedback, and we revised everything. So we got the feedback that was, we don't need levels, we don't need this thing, we don't need that thing, this could help, this could not help, this works, this doesn't work. And it got us to what we now have is the app. Much simpler, the feedback we got in testing it helped, and we were getting a lot of feedback that the did you know was one of the greatest assets of this, and that's back to when I was reassessing it, what's the outcome? I want people to be learning from this. And also we got the finished screen, we've got stats, so you can actually see how well you're doing, and we've got ideas of where we're going to push this soon, but this is kind of what we call an MVP, minimal viable product, get it out. We also went on the freemium model, which is volume 1 is free, and then volume 1, 2, and 3, or the series, is $249. Now, an interesting thing happened a week before we were launched, which is 5 weeks ago now. Apple changed the $199 model to $249 for Australia. So I was like, oh, shit, okay. $199 is easier to say. $249, But these things happen. Stats, over 5 years from concept. So when you go to the tins to launching the app, approximately $100,000 in cost. Now that is my time, material cost, my assistant's time, developer's time, 5 years worth of time, less than 20K in return. As of yesterday, 3.4 thousand downloads so far, mostly for the free one. Who do we promote to? This is a list of who we're talking to. And at the moment, it's a big push to go out and talk to all these people. At the moment, this is the reality. You get about a third of the people you talk to who will actually say something for you on your behalf. Others will be doing it soon, but we're talking about a third. And then I want to ask some famous designers or established designers what they thought of the app. And I'd seen this photo kicking around of Vince for quite a while, and then I had a really close look at it. And I went, wow, cool. Yeah. And he had a look at the app, and he said this: finally, a game that I know some of the answers to, very cool, highly addictive, amazing. I was, whoa, very humbling. So I asked a few more. Debbie Millman, Design Matters. Oh my God, I love it, I'm addicted. G. Lee, creative director of Facebook. Design nerd really tested my knowledge in graphic design. It's perfect for every design nerd out there. Stephen Heller, not playing his own one, playing these series. Such a great way to learn design history and a reminder of what you thought you already knew. Coming from him, who's a walking encyclopedia. And Stefan, he had to wean himself off playing. I recently got this from Reza Abedini. If you don't know Reza Abedini, he's an incredible Iranian typographer and designer. Check him out. He said this, it's perfect. I know Reza. This is just how he says things. There's no better way to share all these interesting facts about design without it being totally boring. It's the perfect tool for education. I'm absolutely addicted to. The perfect tool for education. So it goes back to when I had to reassess this to see what is the purpose of this? Why am I doing this? Why do I want to build a brand around this? Why am I putting all this investment in? Because I want to, I guess, contribute to education. And this is what we're getting back from people. Tweets. There's two I want to point out. Andrew Ashton, from Melbourne, you would know him, but Andrew, for a designer who avoids design stuff, I'm loving Kevin's app. Download it, don't wait for a rainy day. And I was like, wow, for a designer who doesn't like design stuff, to get that is incredible. And then this lady, dig this, fun and educational, can't wait to sit in the Ann Arbor Art Fair traffic and play some more. So getting people to tell you that they are really enjoying what you're doing is incredibly satisfying, but also it shows that there's value to it. They even send us some of their scores. It's like, wow, 75% first go, love it. So it's just getting this helps you and encourages you to keep doing what you're doing. So what's next for it? I'm going to announce today, exclusively, Debbie's going to do a volume on branding. She's incredible. She's amazing. And she says, I will do this because I believe in it. We've got a designer called Lucas Lopez in Argentina. He's just finishing a volume on South American design. The other part of what I want to do here is do cross-cultural. So we'll do this in 2 languages. We'll do it in Spanish and English. Get it to as many people as possible. Learn about Argentinian design. Learn from Debbie Millman about branding. And also, exclusively, I can say that as of yesterday, Vince Frost is doing volume. And on the back of, he's just launching a book, Design Your Life. So he's in the middle of all this stuff. And he's got a focus on this book, which is incredible, by the way. I've seen it. And he says, yes, I'll do this. I want to do this. This is fantastic. Now, this isn't me going, isn't this wonderful that this has happened? This is the endorsement that you need if you want to be building something, and you want to get the feedback that tells you there's value in it. So what are the outtakes? It's everything, but it can blind you. It can blind you if you're only looking at designing the aesthetic. And when I talk about design, we're talking about holistically, how it works, how the game works, how the business is designed, how the process is designed, everything. So design is everything, and it's important. But I was early in the process getting really bogged down in the aesthetic because I'm a graphic designer. It's really difficult to make simple stuff. So what I ended up doing was removing as much as I could to make it easy and intuitive and simple to use, and put the focus on the value. So you end up having to make a lot of decisions that bring it down to something really simple. It takes forever. It is continuous, it's ongoing, it never stops. It takes commitment, it takes money, but it's really, really satisfying. Particularly when you get feedback like that from people who you respect and admire, and I also mean the end users, not just the famous designers. And it is, I think, was said on a couple of occasions over today, building relationships is hugely important, and providing value. So again, back to reassessing it, I thought, where's the value here? If there's no value, it's just something that's novel, and it will die, but we want to make sure there's value. There's lots of highs and hurdles, not just in the project, but life too. Life gets in there and happens. It is often lonely and it's full of doubt. Even though you're surrounded by people who are talking to you about it, in your head, we talked earlier about doubt. Andy made a really good question about doubt, interviewing Tim. And doubt gets in there, and it gets in to everyone, always. And it's hard to do it on your own. Now, that's why, again, Tim's talking about collaboration. Collaborating with people and looking at those people to help you is the best way to be able to see this through. You really, it's very difficult to do it on your own, and collaboration is key. It takes belief. In those moments of doubt, it takes belief to, if you think you're building something with value, if you think there's something that you really want to give the world, you need to believe it. And actually, Vince told me this before I moved to Connemara. He was one of the first people I asked advice for moving from Sydney, Saatchi Design, to Connemara in the middle of nowhere. And he said, if you don't believe you can do it, you won't. And that stuck with me since 2007. And it takes belief. And it takes a little bit of madness too. You have to be really sort of in this and committed and a bit crazy about it. Passion, Tim used earlier, but it is a little bit of that too. If you have an idea, anyone in the audience, and you're not sure about it, or believe in it, try it and see. Test it, ask, collaborate, do your minimum viable product, try and get it out there, do a test, prototype, get it out there, and see what the feedback is. Because, for a long time you can sit on the sidelines wondering if you had an idea, should it work, will it work, I'm scared. Again, Tim's talked about courage. Just try it, believe in it, share it, collaborate, ask for help. It's taken me a long time, but I really, really believe in this. I really believe in it as a tool for education, as a brand that hopefully can be an education platform to work with other educational institutes. And it's built on a very personal journey. It's built on a very personal reflection of me. I love design. I'm a design nerd. Incidentally, the logo was done in Helvetica because it's such a contentious typeface. It was either that or Comic Sans, right? So that was going to be crap. But I love design, and I love talking about it, and I love seeing people who get energized by design. And part of this is to build a community where we can share information and learn from each other and about our field, and just get excited about it and celebrate it. And that's it. I want to celebrate it. I really want to celebrate design because I am such a fucking nerd, and I love it, and I want to do it with you guys.